The mind is a powerful tool. We've been giving this extraordinary tool, which is the mind, the seed of creation. It's the knowing turned into conceptual knowledge. So there's the pure knowing, but then there comes the conceptual, which is the overlay. It's what makes you understand this. But the problem is that we only know how to know ourselves through concepts, through identity. And we don't know that we just know, and we don't really know anything. To know something, there has to be something that doesn't know, right? You had a day, you had events, but what remain, what's here, you can't really know it, but yet there is a knowing of it. It's like going back to the memory or a dream that you remember or that song that you remember. There's a knowing there. It's like, I know, I remember. But then where we get lost is in the story overlay, the meanings. And because it's so easy for us to identify with only the conceptual side of it, because it's the only way that I can know myself, at least that's the way we think. But the knowing, the pure knowing is what you really are because it's already here. It's when you don't say any words. It's when there is no movement. This is the whole paradox or the whole illusion, we can say, because I need some kind of thought. I need some kind of identity to know myself, but that's not true. It's the very silence that is right here. But thought needs to define itself, right? It's finite, it's limited, it's time-based. So it knows that it's going to die because the mind is tied to the body. It believes itself to be real. It believes itself to be the character in the movie or the dream that is going to run out, and it's getting something in the experience instead of actually just experiencing it freely. So let's say that you went through something, right? There's a story, an overlay of what it was. It's the only way you can understand. The problem is not the experience itself or even the thought, because the thought is neutral, but what gives it power is when the knowing, the pure knowing, identifies solely as that and it starts to be defined by that. Maybe someone told you something that you didn't like and you took it very personally. You thought it was true, which makes sense, right? I have to understand it. It's the very understanding that creates our problems. We have too much knowledge, and the knowledge itself is limited. It's not the absolute truth because there's something beneath it. You see, you don't need to prove yourself or be right or know even. You don't need to be told that you're smart to be validated, to feel secure within yourself. You see, that's what knowing, pure knowing already is, but it just doesn't need any proof. For thought, it's scary because it doesn't get anything and it doesn't exist in that moment. But for you, it's liberation, it's freedom. But because we need to work with thought, thought is not separate from this knowing. It's actually an expression of movement of this knowing. It's wholeness, that knowing, which is whole, experiencing itself in everything. It's wholeness. The mind interprets it, right? And it says, yeah, but because I'm getting that, it means that I'm not whole, right? No, that's because you're interpreting it that way. Because you're seeing it as subject object. You think you're a thing, but actually you're just a tool, you're just a function. The body and mind are just functions. And so the knowing is what's experiencing it. And the knowing is not confined to the body. It's not confined to the thoughts, to what people say to you. You actually create them in your mind by the very idea of others, by the very idea that I need approval, I need validation. It's a screw up from the mind, totally. And maybe that's part of the dream, the subject object relationship that's happening. But it's because we haven't been taught how to use the mind. This is not taught in schools. This is not, kids don't know about this. They completely identify solely with their identity, which will become a problem, as you know, the older you get. Because why are kids so free? Because they have no ideas, really. They're learning. And so they haven't solidified that conceptual, their self-concept of themselves. They don't really worry about it. Someone said something, okay, it's a little sting, but hey, I'm just a kid. I don't know. I don't know what my identity means, actually. But then as you get older, it starts to define you. Oh, but now I need to make money. Now I need to prove myself. Now I need to get that relationship. And it goes on. And you start to build the story of yourself. And if you notice, it gets so much pressure to yourself that everything you do is about proving. It's about validating your own self-worth, your own existence, your very being. Oh, if you don't do this, then you're not worthy, you're not valuable, you're not good enough. You simply cannot be. That's the society that we live in today. They care more about what you do instead of who you are. They care more about you doing it instead of you simply being well, being healthy, actually knowing what life is and that you're not separate from it. And so there has to be a fundamental change in how we understand ourselves primarily. To know another person, it makes you smart, it makes you knowledgeable. But to really know yourself is true wisdom. It was a very powerful thing that I heard that made so much sense. Yes, to know yourself fully and truthfully and what you want and how you experience life is much more important than me knowing anything. Because no matter what I know or what I get, there's going to be that void, and that void is yourself. That void is not fully knowing, wait a minute, I'm not separate from life. I am life. I am the experience of life. And I'm not going to let a little thought determine who I am, define me, define my very existence, how I will be remembered, not because of what I did, but because of who I am. And it really just comes down to that. Who you are determines what you do. It's all coming from your beingness, this aliveness. And so everything we want, nothing wrong with that. It's an expression of this movement because there is only one thing. The problem is the identification. This knowing cannot be known. You have to let go of the concepts. You have to go beyond the mind, which is limited, to understand something that is infinite, so infinitely unlimited, powerful. We could say that it's the very fabric of reality. But even to say that, there's still an experience of it. It's like and I use this analogy a lot, but I think it's important because it really gives you that direct experience. And this is all about your direct experience, that you are a player in a game and you are the game and the player at the same time. But the player is not you. You're not in control of it. And you cannot control the game. You cannot resist. You cannot push away. You can only embrace. You can only embrace it as your game based on who you are, not what you do, because it comes from who you are, from how you want to experience yourself. So can we, for a second, be without thought and see what remains and see what's there and not need to know, but just know that I know. Know that I know nothing, in fact, and that's much more free. And that actually gives me the direction. Oh, this is what I actually want. This is what I want to express, because we're ultimately here to wake up to ourselves, to this life, to this aliveness, to experience, which is not a thing, experiencing itself, not as something that I can own, the body, the mind, any object, any experience. If we can freely just experience and to accept every moment, say yes to the moment, be satisfied for the sake of being satisfied, be grateful for the simple fact of experiencing, and know that you don't lack anything. And we do this by understanding that we are not the thoughts. The thoughts arise, but it's who is this talking to? Who is saying that? Who is feeling that? What remains? What are you going to find? Any answer is just more thought, because the thought is the thought, or the question is the answer, or the questioner is, you know what I'm saying.